Good afternoon. My name is Emily, and I'm here to talk about the school to cafeteria safety, and the business that I work for is called the Smart Dine Through. Um, the location of the business is Pinewood School in Toronto, Ontario, and as a manager, it is my duty to put food orders when needed, help prep and serve foods when needed, count money daily and keep it locked up safe, deal with any problems within the business unless needed to inform Mr. Jonason, and manage the business. Now, our owner is Mike Jonason, and our health and safety representative is Jenna McKay. Now, the first and most important part about running a food business, especially when in a school, is to follow the food premises regulation. And so there's just some major steps that we need to follow, like building maintenance. Every food premises shall be operated and maintained such that the premises are free from any condition that may be health hazard, advisory effect, and sanitary operations of the premises or advisory effect the wholesomeness of the food therein. No food where food is manufactured, handled, displayed, distributed, sold, or offered for sale, prepared, processed, served, transported, or stored is used for sleeping process. A separate food compartment, locker, or cupboard is provided for keeping wearing apparel of employees. The floor or floor coverings are tight, smooth, and non-absorbent in rooms where food is manufactured, handled, displayed, distributed, sold, or offered for sale, preparing process, served, transported, or stored. Utensils are washed or washing fixtures and toilet fixtures are located, and the walls and ceilings of rooms or pathways may be readily cleaned and may be maintained in a sanitary condition. Despite what I just read, carpeting may be used in the area where food is served, where the carpeting is maintained in a clean and sanitary condition. Now, with lighting, the levels of the illumination required under the Ontario Regulation 332/12 Building Code, made under the Building Code Act of 1992, shall be maintained during all hours of the operation of the food premise. The ventilation system is every food premise shall be maintained so the premise does not become a health hazard. An article or piece of equipment that is used for manufacturing, distributing, sale, or offering for sale, preparing, processing, handling, transportation, storage, or display of food shall be of sound and tight construction, kept in good repair, and of such form and material that can be readily cleaned and sanitized. Equipment and utensils with which food comes in direct contact shall be corrosive resistant and non-toxic and free from cracks, crevices, or open seams. Despite that, cutting boards, blocks, tables, bowls, platters, and curtains of hardwood or other materials may be served where such equipment is maintained in a clean and sanitary condition, and the manner and conditions of their use are not a health hazard. Every food premise shall be provided with a supply of potable water adequate for the operation of the premises, hot and cold running water under pressure in areas where food is processed, prepared, and manufactured, or utensils are washed. A separate hand washing basin in a location convenient for employees in which processing, preparation, and manufacture area, together with supplies of hot and cold water, soap, or detergent in a dispenser, and clean single serve towels or a continuous cloth roller towel in a mechanical device, and supply of paper towels. Refrigerated space adequate for the safe storage of perishable and hazardous foods, and containers of durable, leak-proof, and non-absorbent materials with tight-fitting or self-closing lids, sufficient for storing all garbages and waste in a sanitary manner. The bison referred in the Clause 1C shall be used only for the hand washing of employees. Temperature controlled rooms and compartments used for the storage of hazard foods shall be provided with accurate indicating thermometers that may be easily read. Rack shelves or pallets shall be provided for the storage of food, and no rack or shelf shall be placed less than 15 centimeters above. All food shall be stored on rack shelves and pallets, referring to the section 22, which I just read. Tongs, spoons, and scoops of corrosion-resistant and non-toxic material shall be used wherever possible to avoid direct hand contact with food. Now those are all the general acts of which we would have to follow with the food by law. Now that I just carried out reading on about the food premise regulation, I'm just going to go ahead and carry on with the next couple slides here. So our first slide coming up here is safe food handling. So it's very important to have no homemade prep meals within your cafeteria, only store-bought for the safety of the kids and staff that you are serving. You should definitely keep an eye on the fridge and freezer temperatures. Keeping foods like cheese at 4 degrees or colder is a prime example of keeping foods at a healthy, safe temperature, so it doesn't build up bacteria or grow moldy. You should be keeping things in containers and keeping your area clean, your work area. So using food safe chemicals properly to clean. Constantly washing hands, especially when dealing with raw meats, because you definitely don't want to be dealing with cross-contamination. You should be keeping hot foods at 60 degrees or warmer before serving. And you should be washing dishes within a 3-step process of soapy water, rinse, and sanitizing when dealing with things like cups, plates, utensils. But when it comes to washing like pots and pans, you can just do the 2-step process, which is soapy water and then the rinse. Now our next slide will be talking about allergies with the staff and students you will be serving in your business. So when you're preparing, to find out what allergies are within the school, you should prepare a meeting with the school staff, with the teachers, or if there's any school nurses, just get them together to find out what allergies are within the school so that you know what you should be serving and what you should be doing to set out warnings. So you should be sending out warnings if there is an allergy food. So when serving a food that has an allergenic ingredient, set up signs to warn students ahead of time, either at the front entrance of the cafeteria or in front of the food item that has the allergy in it. Would be a very smart idea to keep the people that are allergic that they would know. When there's a severe allergy, you have no exception but to not serve that food item, because you don't want to have your business being held liable for causing an allergic reaction because you, with the meeting that you had brought with the staff, you should have been known that you cannot serve that item. But if it's a non-severe allergy, when prepping and serving your foods, you should be keeping the allergy food separated from the other foods so that when the kid who's allergic won't have cross-contamination and have allergic reaction. Now just moving ahead here to injuries in the kitchen. So an example would be like slippery floor. So when you're cleaning the floors, before you start cleaning the floors, you should put out a sign to let people know that the floor was going to be slippery and is slippery, and that they should take precautions so that they don't slip and fall and injure themselves. And by putting this sign out, your business will not be held liable if anyone does slip and fall and hurt themselves. Keeping knives and sharp objects away in a safe place stored so that it cannot harm them, and teaching your employees how to properly use these objects so they don't end up cutting themselves on accident is a very good idea, because you don't want to have to have your employees being hurt on the job. Dermatitis. When an employee is first hired, you should inform them how to deal with cuts, burns, and etc., other accidents. And you should always have an accident form at hand in the office, in the cafeteria. That way, if an injury does occur, me as the manager, can get or help the employee fill out the form so that we just have it filed away. If an incident occurs where we're brought to a lawyer or anything like that, we have the record on hand to say, like, this is what happened and this how it happened. And dealing with tripping, you should avoid tripping hazards by containing a clean, cleared kitchen and storing things away properly placed, so that you shouldn't have objects laying out all over the floor or on the counter where it can fall off. You should properly store it away to avoid those injuries. Coming up next, we have keeping the kitchen clean. So having cleaning products available at all times, off to the side away from your foods for safety reasons, is a very good idea, because if a spillage happens or if there's a bacteria buildup somewhere, you can just go get those cleaning products or get your employees to do that, and they can clean that up right away. And you should definitely be cleaning your kitchen daily. It's very important to be cleaning your floors, dishes, surfaces, and messes with the proper chemicals that are food safe, to avoid bacteria growing and keep your food safe to eat. And when it comes to cleaning things such as fridges, or just not your daily cleaning priorities, such as the floors and the dishes, you should create a schedule as a manager to know to maybe clean maybe 2 or 3 times a week. The products like the fridges, just take out all your food items, wipe down the fridge to avoid bacteria buildup, and definitely don't have cross-contamination when you're putting things away, so you should store them properly, and just take out any spoiled foods so that they don't contaminate the other foods and make them go bad fast as well, and just throw those out. Now our next slide is going to be about storing food properly. So the biggest problem with storing food properly is cross-contamination for sure. So you want to be keeping raw foods like meat away from cooked, ready to serve fresh foods, and store them in a safe, clean, non-toxic environment. Properly store the foods in a separate container, and don't use the container that stored raw food to store cooked or fresh food unless the container was cleaned thoroughly and well. Clean your counter area while prepping foods and while switching foods. So you don't want to be cutting meats and then not cleaning the counter and then going to cut so maybe some fresh fruit or vegetables, because that's going to cause a cross-contamination, and your business will be held liable for if anyone that gets sick because you did not properly clean. So when you store foods at appropriate temperature, that's just going to keep them healthier, longer, safe. You're not going to have bacteria build up. So you're going to have hot foods between 6 degrees or hotter. And when you are putting them back in the fridge, be it for leftovers, you're going to want to let your food cool down first, because when you put the hot food in the fridge or freezer right away, it builds up moisture, and that causes the food to be not as fresh for as long, and it just causes bacteria to build up. But when you're storing cooler foods, you're going to want to keep it at 4 degrees or lower. And when you're storing freezer foods, you're going to want to keep it at -15 degrees or lower. When storing in containers, you want to make sure that they're tightly sealed. You can either use lids, foil, or plastic wrap to avoid spoiling foods and bacteria getting in. And never store foods near chemicals or unsafe areas. That is very important. And just now we're going to recap on overall review here. So it's very important that the school cafeteria follows the food premises regulation. And safe food handling is an important part of your job, because if you're not handling your food safe, you're not teaching your employees how to properly handle your food and work with the food, that's just your business is going to be held liable if anyone gets sick, injured, or etc. Allergies are a huge concern in a lot of schools, especially with things like peanuts. So you want to make sure that you deal with those situations properly and know your facts within the students and staff so you're not held liable or cause any allergic reactions. And if an injury does occur, because they're very common within businesses, especially in kitchens, you have cuts, burns, etc. You definitely want to have a safety kit at hand. A paper to be filled out when an accident occurs, just so you have record. And when you want to be keeping your cafeteria clean, the kitchen clean, just all the time. You want to be cleaning daily and weekly, just to avoid bacteria buildup and etc. When you're storing foods, it's important to store them properly and mandatory. It's not an option to be storing your food in properly, and you just want to keep everything at the proper temperature for your business to be up and running properly. So thank you for listening, and thank you for time, and I hope you have a good day, and thank you for learning about the Smart Dime Through, which is a school cafeteria located in Toronto, Ontario.